Hereby call the regular Public Housing Authority meeting of Tuesday, July 28, 2020, to order at 5:36 p.m. Yes, got it, okay. The PHA Secretary will provide brief information relating to the conduct of the meeting and will read the following.
If we can first conduct the roll call.
Please, can you please conduct roll call?
Director Farfan,
Here.
Director Trimble,
Here.
Director Maravilla,
Here.
Director Prieto,
Here.
Director Mahar,
Here.
Chairmember Alvarado,
Here.
and I've noted that Director Roa is currently not here yet.
Okay, thank you, Lucy. So, I hereby call the regular Public Housing Authority meeting of Tuesday, July 28, 2020, to order at 5:37 p.m. The PHA Secretary will provide brief information relating to the conduct of the meeting and will read the following.
Honorable board members, currently due to the coronavirus COVID situation, the Public Housing Authority continues to conduct these meetings without an audience, but the members of the public are able to provide their public comments via the city's Dropbox, U.S. mail, email, or the city's website. Currently, we have no comments for the Public Housing Authority.
Thank you, Lucy. Now we go to public comments. The PHA shall discuss, the PHA shall not discuss or take any action related to any public comments unless authorized by the California Government Code 54954.2b. Lucy, the PHA Secretary will read and provide information relating to general public comments. No, public comments is now open.
There are currently no comments for the Public Housing Authority, sir.
Okay, thank you, Lucy. Public comments is now closed. Now we go to agenda organization. Would anyone like to make any changes to the agenda organization? We go to public hearings. We have none. We go to consent calendar. Does anyone want to pull any items from the consent calendar for separate discussion? Can I get a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar in its entirety.
Can I get a roll call, Lucy?
Who made the second? Was that Councilmember Mahar? Director Mahar. Thank you. Councilmember Mahar. Yes. Director Prieto.
Yes.
Director Trimble.
Yes.
Director Maravilla.
Yes.
Director Farfan.
Yes.
Chairmember Alvarado.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Lucy. Now we go to discussion items. C4, PHA Resolution Number 2020-012, amending the Public Housing Authority Program Guidelines. Can I get staff report?
So Mr. Colombo and Gloria will present, but this is a follow-up item to direction we received from the City Council related to the number of portability vouchers. Is that accurate? So Joe will explain why it's a little different than the discussion we had and go into the recommended guidelines.
I want to introduce Gloria Thomas right now, and then I'll have questions.
Good evening, Honorable Chairperson and members of the board. At the previous PHA board meeting, staff reported that when program participants port out to another jurisdiction, the Housing Authority loses out on administrative fees and must pay housing assistance payments on behalf of the program participant. During this discussion, staff was given a directive to return and report on the likelihood of setting a limit or cap on port outs. Staff consulted with the Hatfield office and was advised on not setting this policy. Currently, program applicants are not allowed to port out during the first 12 months from the voucher issuance. This policy is currently being enforced. Program applicants, those that have been in the program, are allowed to port out but are only allowed to port out if the other housing authority is absorbing the voucher. This saves housing authority on losing the admin fees. Again, this policy is being enforced. Finally, there are special conditions where both the applicant and the program participant are allowed to port out only under special circumstances, where a family or a family member is at risk due to health or safety issues or a reasonable accommodation. To effectively carry on this policy, staff is recommending revising the program guidelines to reflect the following. One, we cleaned up some of the guidelines to remove some of the unnecessary language. And then secondly, we added the following language. The PHA will allow exceptions to the elected moves when reviewed and approved by the executive director on a case-by-case basis. So this means that when a participant or an applicant is requesting to port out, we will review it case by case to look at it carefully and see if it's really needed for them to port out.
So if you recall, the initial concern was that when an applicant or participant ports out, we lose admin fees, okay? And our goal is to keep all those admin fees internally within the city of Hawaiian Gardens. And so we brought this to your attention, and we wanted to make sure that we let you know that we're going to continue to enforce the regulations as currently written. And when we discussed this at the last PHA board meeting, it was suggested that potentially we put some type of cap. Checking with the field office, they recommended that we not do that. And in analyzing what they're trying to say, I don't think that's going to create much of a problem, because there are basically two categories of Section 8, two Section 8 categories. You have a program participant, which are those folks that are on the wait list. And as you know, we have about 1,000 of them or so on the wait list. Those people will get called upon as their turn comes up. I'm sorry? Applicants, okay? Those folks cannot port out for the initial lease, 12-month lease term anyhow, okay? Now we've got the program participants, okay? Those are the folks that are currently on the program. The way the guidelines are currently written, we do not have to approve any port outs if we can demonstrate that there is a funding problem, which there would be, by allowing these things to port out. So we do have the right to not let them port out under the circumstances where they don't absorb the Section 8 vouchers. So absorbing means that they go on there. So let's say they go to Norwalk, right, or Long Beach. If they want to port out to those cities, they can, as long as those cities, their housing authority, absorbs that voucher. So now they're on their system, and they leave our voucher intact, and we keep the voucher and the admin fee. So we don't have a problem when those respective housing authorities absorb those vouchers, because then they're on their system, and it leaves ours intact. So we want to leave ours intact because we got so much funding for so many applicants in our community, and we want to, leave it that way. So we're recommending that we really don't need to do anything in that regard. However, in either event, whether they are a participant or applicant, there is an exclusion or an exception that if there is some type of, and I think the words that they used was domestic violence. Okay, so on a rare case, there could be special circumstances that we do have to look at that, and it would get reviewed by the executive director, and if it's warranted, an exception would be made to port out. So we're recommending that we really don't do anything at this point. We adopt the resolution as recommended by staff. It cleans up the language a little bit, and it introduces new language that basically states, and that's why we gave you the additional paper, because it didn't come out good on the Xerox machine. It blanked it all out. So really what we're saying is that the PHA will allow exceptions to elective moves when reviewed and approved by the executive director, which is the city manager, on a case-by-case basis. So it's not one size fits all. We need to hear what the circumstances are, and it has to be warranted. And that concludes the presentation.
So the bottom line is, this is a way to accomplish the directive provided by the city council without putting the city in potentially problematic language as originally proposed. But it would accomplish the goal, which is to reduce the portability so that we don't lose administrative fees.
Any comments from council? Can I get a motion? Can I get a second?
Okay. I'll second that motion.
Can I get a roll call vote, Lucy?
Director Mahar? Yes. Director Prieto?
Yes.
Director Trimble?
Yes.
Director Maravilla?
Yes.
Director Farfan?
Yes.
Chairmember Alvarado?
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. We go to new business. Do we have any new business? No? No closed session? Or staff report? Or authority report? We adjourn to the next regular Public Housing Authority meeting to be held on Tuesday, August 25th at 5:30 p.m. I hereby call the regular City Council meeting of Tuesday, July 28, 2020 to order at 6:04 p.m. The city clerk will provide brief information relating to the conduct of the meeting and will read the following.
Thank you, Mayor. Due to the evolving situation with COVID-19, coronavirus, and health orders from the State of California and LA County Health Department, the City of Hawaiian Gardens City Council meeting shall only be available to the public remotely. The meeting can be viewed on the City of Hawaiian Gardens local cable channel, ATT 99, Frontier 16, Spectrum 36, and live stream via the city's website at www.hgcity.org.
Thank you, Lucy. The invocation will be led by Lucy Colombo, and the flag salute will be led by our Mayor Pro Tem, Luis Roa. Can you please all stand?
Please bow your heads. Loving Heavenly Father, we come to you asking for your blessing, help, and guidance as we gather here together today. We pray that you guide the council in the decisions that they are about to make and the matters at hand. We ask for your continued blessing and healing on all the families who have been dealing with health situations, with COVID. And we just ask you, Lord, to just continue to grant the City of Hawaiian Gardens, all the community members here, your favor. We thank you and we praise you. In your heavenly name we pray. Amen.
Can I get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Trimble,
Here.
Councilmember Maravilla,
Here.
Councilmember Farfan,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Roa,
Here.
Mayor Alvarado.
Here.
You have a quorum, sir.
Thank you. We have no proclamations or certificates. We have no presentations, but we do have a video.
Hello, my name is Jesse Alvarado, Mayor of the City of Hawaiian Gardens. We actually, this morning, we have a food giveaway. There's a lot of need out there because of the COVID-19 and people losing their jobs. And so, we know it's very challenging out there financially. So we decided with the help of the council members, volunteers, and a lot of sponsors, we were able to make this happen.
My name is Mayra Maravilla, council member in the City of Hawaiian Gardens, and I'm really excited to be here today with this food drive-by giveaway. I want to thank all of the sponsors that contributed to this amazing giveaway. We have fresh vegetables, fresh fruits, and we also have pastas and different other ingredients so that our families can cook a meal for their family. So I'm just really excited to be a part of this.
Hi, my name is Claire Guillen. I am volunteering today because it's really important during this time to consider all of the people who do not have access or money anymore to be able to provide just the basics for their family. And I've been wanting to reach out in this way for a long time and wanting for something very local, to participate in something local. And this is something local that I can do. It's just down the street from my house, and I'm able to give back to my community.
My name is Victor Farfa. I'm one of the city council members. And this morning we're honored to host another food drive for our residents. We're trying to feed as many residents of Hawaiian Gardens as possible. Due to the COVID, we know that there's been a tremendous economic impact to many families in our community. And so we're trying to do what we can as a community to support those in need with some very basic food elements. So today we'll be having various food items to give away, from fruits to beans to rice, various dry goods. And so we're hoping that will help supplement the need that our residents have for food.
My name is Christina. I'm from the city of Hawaiian Gardens. I live here. I'd like to thank City Hall for this drive-by food for us needed people at this time of needed. Thank you very much.
Hola, hola, buenos días. Estamos aquí en Hawaiian Gardens. Les queremos dar gracias aquí en Hawaiian Gardens que nos están dando comida gratis, más bien nos están apoyando. Les queremos dar gracias por ese apoyo y aquí estamos en Hawaiian Gardens de 10 a 12 si gustan venir, y están aquí parqueándose en carro como drive-thru y les están dando su comida, y gracias a Hawaiian Gardens porque nos dan el apoyo de este. Muchas gracias.
Hello, Hawaiian Gardens. My name is Jesse Hernandez, your pool manager. I'm happy to announce our opening now through September 7th, by appointment only. So if you'd like to come, please give us a call or visit our website and register now. We are now taking appointments per household only. So everyone in your household can come enjoy the pool for 45 minutes at a time.
Hello, my name is Samantha here from Liverpool. I am one of the lifeguards here. This year, to take precautions because of COVID, we are cleaning the pool every day before you guys get here. We vacuum, sweep the pool and everything. We clean all surfaces, inside, outside, and even in the restrooms. When you guys come, we do check you guys in. Once we check you guys in, you guys walk in through the gates where we have somebody taking your temperature. We read you some questions. You guys read the rules.
So nothing has changed once you enter the water. Same rules. You must take a swim test to enter the deep side. And if you have a child under 48 inches or under 6 years old, they must be accompanied by an adult at all times.
Hi, my name is Jose Vargas, and this is my family. My daughter, Emelina, my son, Junior, my wife, Sylvia, and my smallest, Morgan Jose Luis. We wanted to thank the city for opening up the pool. It's something refreshing, after being in quarantine this entire time. It's a real nice events that we're able to do here in the city of Hawaiian Gardens, where the kids are able to practice a better swimming and enjoying the summer.
Right now that the family just left, right now our staff are cleaning all doorknobs, shower knobs, all surfaces, the benches, all handrails, even restrooms. We are cleaning everything, making sure everything is sanitized.
Now we go to public comments. The City Council should not discuss or take action relative to any public comments unless authorized by the California Government Code, Section 54954.b2. Public comments are now open. Lucy, do we have any public comments?
Yes, Mayor, Honorable Mayor, and members of the City Council, we did receive several comments. Comments can be provided to the city via e-comment on the city's website. We do check the phone for voice messages, via email, any type of written correspondence, either by U.S. mail or the City Hall Dropbox. Currently, we have a couple of comments. The first comment is from Asif Mohammed. It is requested to look into this matter of street fireworks late afternoon almost every day, which making older and sick people uncomfortable. Please have someone look in this matter, and also many residents have animals like chickens and roosters every house, which makes other residents uncomfortable also. The next comment is from Angel V. And it's in Spanish, so I'm going to go ahead and read it in Spanish and then I'll interpret it in English. Me gustaría decir que decepcionada estoy con el alcalde Jesse Alvarado y cualquier otro consejo que permita que esto continúe. No quería creer en los rumores, pero después de verlo con mis propios ojos, no puedo soportar ver a nuestro alcalde no solo negarles a los residentes cajas de comida gratis, sino ir tan lejos como tomar de los necesitados y dárselo a él mismo. En esas campañas de comida pasadas, he visto a trabajadores de la ciudad entregar varias cajas de comida a su residencia en Ibex y también ha visto Jesse llevar las cajas de comida sobrantes a su vehículo personal. El sábado pasado a mi familia le dijeron que se habían quedado sin cajas de comida. Luego, ver a Jesse descargándolas de su minivan. Me gustaría decir cuán decepción estoy con el alcalde Jesse Alvarado y cualquier otro consejo que permita que esto continúe. No quería creer en los rumores, pero después de verlo con mis propios ojos, no puedo soportar ver a nuestro alcalde no solo negarles a los residentes cajas de comida gratis, sino ir tan lejos como tomar de los necesitados y dárselo a él mismo. En esas campañas de comida pasadas, he visto a los trabajadores. Actually, it's the same. It's written on there twice. So now I'm going to read in English. I would like to say how sad I feel that Mayor Jesse Alvarado and any other council member who allows for this to continue. I didn't want to believe the rumors, but after seeing this with my own eyes, I cannot support and I cannot stand to see our mayor not only not provide residents with food boxes for free, but also as to go as far as take from those in need to keep them for himself. And in these past food distributions, I've seen city workers provide boxes of food to residences on Ibex, and also I have seen Jesse take boxes of food, extra boxes of food to his vehicle, to his personal vehicle. Last Saturday, her family was told, or his family was told, that there were no boxes left, no food boxes left. Later, they saw Jesse removing them from his minivan. I would like to say how, then that's the second part that's repeated again. Continuing on, this one is from Angel Velasquez. Esta parte, again, it's in Spanish. I'll read it and then I'll put it in English. Esta parte aún no la he probado, pero muchos de mis amigos que viven en la ciudad que no tienen documentos me dicen que Jesse y sus ayudantes van de puerta entregando esas mismas cajas de comida solo a los votantes registrados y ignoran las familias indocumentadas. Es por eso que no apoyaré a ningún candidato que el alcalde Jesse Alvarado respalde en las próximas elecciones. Paramos con las mentiras. No necesitamos un consejo elegido que solo se preocupe por ellos mismos y su propia imagen. Necesitamos personas desinteresadas y que no roben a los residentes. It states that although this part has not been proven, many of my friends who live in the city who are undocumented have said that Jesse and his helpers go from door to door providing the same food boxes, but only to registered voters, and they ignore families who are undocumented. It is for this reason that I would not support any candidate that the mayor supports in the next elections. Let's stop with the lies. We do not need council members that are elected and are only preoccupied with themselves and their image. We need people who are disinterested and are not stealing from the residents. This one is a comment from, it just says resident of HG. Question on why the administrative analyst in public safety was being considered to be cut when this position is vital to public safety. Having this position gone will leave a big gap on who will handle the city citation and appeal process and any other public safety needs. We the people think the community relations officer position should have been cut if most of public safety was affected except for this particular position. Please reconsider in keeping the administrative analyst intact or consider cutting both. And this comment is from Lorraine, and there's three separate sections to it. First, I want to give a huge shout out of gratitude to our Station 34 Fire Department. Their dedication to us residents has always been 100%. Thank you. Second, I'm stunned that the City Council considered removing the position of administrative analyst position, our liaison between Lakewood Sheriffs and community and schools. Even the motion made by Myra to reduce the hours by 50% is absurd and so wrong. To have a detective and sergeant pleading for their backbone working hand in hand with sheriff and community and being ignored is shameful. Crucial and vital are very important words given to that position. We have made huge police community strides since 2014 because of this position needing 100% of time. Roa, you came out fighting for position. Left platform, came back with Megan, and without hearing Myra's motion of 50% reduction in hours, you waved your white flag except for Council Trimble. Really, $100,000 for a 3-day carnival? Really? Life is never going back pre-COVID days. As mentioned, we're still in a pandemic stage, and you still want money for a carnival. Safety in our houses, safety in our streets, schools, helping other kids is all part of senior administrative position. Contacts, paperwork, follow-ups, cutting those hours or positions is only weakening our success with community and sheriff who greatly needs the help. Not to mention, this item was not even placed on the agenda, just on PowerPoint. Wow, never in council history have we seen debating to keep someone's job, especially on TV, so cruel. Every day, this council shows lack of transparency. We feel it's not in your vocabulary. Transparency, learn it, educate yourself. So, in short, thanks for compromising our safety and trust in community relations. And then, actually, instead of saying our safety and trust, she meant to say, in short, thanks for compromising our police safety and community relations in Hawaiian Gardens. That concludes the public comments that were provided.
Thank you, Lucy. Now we go to agenda organization. Would anyone like to make any changes to the order of the agenda organization? No. We go to public hearings. None. We go to consent calendar. Does any council member would like to pull any agenda item from the consent calendar for separate discussion? Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar in its entirety.
I will second it.
Can I get a roll call?
Councilmember Trumbull?
Yes.
Councilmember Maravilla?
Yes.
Councilmember Farfan?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Roa?
Yes.
Mayor Alvarado?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Lucy. Now we go to discussion items. C11, resolution number 064-2020, approving a request by the Pacific Gardens Medical Center to allow an additional 90-day extension of the time period allowed for a temporary interruption of the use associated with existing entitlements for the hospital operation located at 21530 Pioneer Boulevard, Hawaiian Gardens. Do we have staff report?
Yes. Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council, this is a request from Pacific Gardens Medical Center, which is requesting a 90-day extension on their special use permit that was initially approved in 1969, and throughout the years it had been known as FHP and Tri-City, and now it's been taken over by Pacific Gardens. They are still in the process of getting all the regulatory licenses. I did provide you guys a letter that's from Pacific Gardens and pretty much outlines that the pharmacy license is almost complete. The laboratory license has been obtained and with all the equipment installed and working. They're still working with some OSHPD issues. And they believe that they will be complete by July 30th, 2020. Electronic medical records also have been implemented, and all beds and equipment and lighting and patient call systems have been installed. They do anticipate using the hospital for acute care facility and ready to accept care for COVID patients. They have received numerous extensions in the past. I think they have received about 9 of them or so. So this is now before the City Council for your consideration. The applicant or representatives are here if you have any questions.
Any questions or comments from council?
I don't need to ask any questions. I'd like to make a motion to approve their extension. But if there's any rebuttal against approving it, then I would like for them to come up and ask questions.
Any questions from council? Any comments? Can I get a second?
Thank you, sir.
Actually, can they just come up and explain to us like what's the holdup or what's been going on?
Yeah, go to that table right there. Is that mic on?
All right, now you're in the hot seat. Push that button and a green light comes on.
There we go. Okay. Okay, good. Okay. So, last time we were here, we had every intention on getting this hospital open with the extension that we received. However, as you well know, COVID hit pretty heavily in March and April. Can you hear me okay? Okay. So we have been running into issues with our internet and our telephones. We had to install telephones into every single hospital room, replacing beds, but primarily our internet service provider and telephone provider would not come out and service us because of COVID. We had a horrific time trying to get them to show up. They wouldn't come out. So we've been held up on our internet for our EMR system, our CPSI systems, telephones, internet. We're getting that all resolved right now. In fact, I think they're coming out this week and finishing up that work. So that was a huge problem for us. We also had our life safety issues that we had to, take care of. We are being grandfathered in on some of the OSHPD issues that we have. We've been working on that. We have also replaced all of the beds, and we're working with getting a unit for COVID, specifically for COVID. That's a hyperbolic unit that we have to have. We were asked by the state to open up this hospital as a COVID unit. We were going to do that under a temporary license. However, that was going to present a problem because we would not be able to open up with a permanent license. That would defer us. And so without the license to open an ER, that was really the issue with us. Under COVID, we were not going to be able to open up an ER and serve the community. So the decision was made to just go ahead and say, well, let's just get the hospital open, get a permanent license, and then we'll be a full community hospital, of course, serving COVID patients as well. So we felt that was probably the better option for us. Without a permanent license, that would have deferred us operating. So we really haven't had a lot of control over this, and as with a lot of businesses, we have been hit pretty heavy with the COVID issues and just getting staff and people to come out and take care of it.
Now, is there an anticipated timeline?
Well, we hope to have all this done. Well, again, we're asking for a 90-day extension, and a lot of this work has been done. A lot of the equipment, we spent up to $4 to $5 million on equipment and infrastructure already. So we hope to have these units. The major push was the internet and the telephones and getting the power up and running so that we could service the individual rooms. And we had to do several, refurbishing, reinforcing some of the structure that was there. But we're pretty well on our way now. We're just not quite there.
With regards to the licensing required to actually operate, how is that going?
The pharmacy license and the lab licenses are going well. They're getting those under control.
Do you know when you expect to receive those?
Have you heard specifically?
Right now, they're all waiting connecting to a phone. They won't give us, like pharmacy won't give us their license until they can see that we're connected to an internet. Not connected to it. Can't do it until they can't produce connectivity to things. So that's what they're holding back. Once we get that, then we've met all their other requirements. Yeah. That's the outstanding issue. Pharmacy. Same would be with, you have a lab license, but anything else, we don't have an patient medical record, electronic medical record, we don't have connectivity. We can get connectivity, we've got that vendor on hold, waiting to say, okay, we're ready, let's connect.
And then we're going to be testing all the systems. Once we're connected, then we will be able to run parallels, and we'll be able to test the systems and make sure the connectivity is working.
And I have a question. So what was the delay in getting connected before COVID?
Before COVID? I don't think I can answer that because we only came in as partners in December. So we're only as partners from the middle of December is when the agreement was signed. And then shortly after that, we came in and then COVID hit. So anything prior to that.
So what is your guys' specialty? What were you guys hired to do? Because you guys said that you came in as partners in December. So I'm curious so you can't speak to before December?
Not really, no.
No, but we came with the new partnership.
Yeah.
So my boss is part of the new partnership. So I came in with her and her partner as the same as Deborah did.
We all came in at the same time. And we basically started with, we had to go through inventory. I mean, there's a lot of things we had to do. We had to go through and we inventoried some of the equipment, equipment that was there. I don't know the specific terminology.
So each of you are representing different partners?
No, we're the
both
same.
Representing the same partner who is also functioning, Precious Mays functions as the president and CEO of the hospital as well, that came on board with the new partnership.
So how many partners are involved with this?
It's a 50-50 partnership.
2 people?
It's 3 people. It's 3 people, but a 50-50 partnership.
I understand.
Yeah.
Okay, so the only reason why I'm asking that is because I know that when was the first time that the permit was filed? Or
yeah.
I think it was 2017 when they initially made their very first request to preserve the 1969 entitlements when FHP went away. So I think it was Pacific Gardens, and then subsequently there was a new partner, which is really my understanding is the financial backbone to the operation. I'm not aware of a third partner, but nevertheless, it's a partnership. From what I hear, three corporations now. So since then, there have been about 9 or 10 extensions. It's not a land use issue in terms of there's nothing from CDD, creating any impediments from having to open it up. We've issued the entitlements. There are conditions of approval, so those are still pending until they open up. So this is something really that's at the discretion of the council.
So the reason why I want to share this is because I know the last time that a request for another 90 days was made, it's just, I don't know, like, I don't see a plan. Like, I'm getting bits and pieces at every extension. It's like, oh, we're working on getting connected. Spectrum should be out. And then in 90 days, are we going to get another request? Oh, we got connected, but now we need the lab license or permit, and so that's what it seems like because, and I know you guys are new to the process, but we've been sitting here as a city council trying to advance us getting a hospital again for our community And not having a hospital here means members of our community are not being serviced.
Correct.
And it's a concern to me because I don't see an actual plan, like a plan of action. And maybe it's not your guys' fault, and it predates your involvement in this project, but it's frustrating as an elected official to not get a whole plan of this is what we're waiting on. And so again, and this may be something that goes back to the other partners, pre-COVID, what was the holdup on? Because to me, it sounds like a very silly excuse. I'm sorry we couldn't get going because we couldn't get all these licenses or permits processed because we didn't have internet. That, to me, as an elected official, sounds kind of ridiculous. And it has nothing to do with you personally, but when we're talking about 9 to 10 extensions, and barely now during COVID, we're trying to get internet connectivity, which is then delaying the process. And then to hear that the state reached out to see if you could be a COVID hospital to service COVID patients, and it wasn't in your best financial interest, is because it's not financially beneficial to you?
The state actually pulled back. They pulled back the contract. They said they didn't actually need us. They put us on hold. They put us on a wait list. But actually, the internet connectivity it seems like when you're in a house, everything's connected, and you just flip a switch, they come out, they put it in a box, and you're done. This hospital had phones that had to be replaced. They had to have replacing the wires. We had to pull out ceilings. It wasn't just a matter of having everything in place to turn on. And then we also couldn't get people to come out and do the work. So it was a lot more than having a phone person come to your house and just look at your box, connect some wires. We had to get it into our lab equipment, into the pharmacy equipment, throughout the rooms. The beds had to be replaced, the phones were replaced, and there was a lot of infrastructure that had to kind of be tooled to get into the equipment required different settings, different internet requirements. So those had to be upgraded, and they had to be examined and pulled in. So it's a process. It's not just, it wasn't ready to go. It wasn't like somebody was living in a house and moved out and the new owners came in. It was much more complicated than that. So, and when you have that kind of a hospital, there's things you run into that you don't know what's going to happen until you're there, until you go, okay, what happened? And then you have to pull wires and take out cabling because it's outdated, because now it has to be updated to accommodate the new bandwidth. Those are things that you don't always know. And then we had trouble getting people in who are experts enough. They were coming and going, and then COVID hit, and literally we couldn't get people to come out. We literally could not get people to come see us.
Well, let me add this. Prior to COVID-19, you couldn't get people coming out before because I remember I've been working with the hospital since 2017, and they needed a tank. Oxygen tank, big tank right outside the emergency doors, for the foundation. Took months to get approval because there was no inspectors coming out. They even tried calling San Bernardino, and San Bernardino says, look, that's an LA thing. Right. Call LA. We have our own stuff we're behind on. So I called Anthony Rendon's office, and he hit a brick wall. Janice Hahn hit a brick wall. We just couldn't get inspectors to come out to inspect anything. So that finally all got taken care of. But let me read something to you and to the City of Hawaiian Gardens. This is on page 123. It says, the subject facility, not to exceed 137 beds, shall be used as a general acute care hospital equipped to provide various types of services, including but not limited to emergency services open 24 hours based on 7 days a week, an intensive care unit, coronary care, and acute medical and surgical care. Now, they put in $5.8 million into this facility, and to make sure all these complicated machines work, They need what do you call that?
Fiber optics.
Fiber optic
Fiber
wiring.
optics.
But the 3 companies that said they'll do it are on hold because of COVID-19. Now, they did all this work for the city, and it's going to be state-of-the-art facility with great equipment to save lives. So convenient, you can walk to there from anywhere in Hawaiian Gardens. I think we should give them this 90 days because the lady I spoke to, Precious, she was confident she'll do it within the 90 days, but 90 days just in case these people saying, and this equipment cannot be inspected until they have the right fiber optic wiring that communicates everything. So we're waiting on that wiring for the tests, but everything else has been met.
Yeah.
It's a great thing, and the city's been waiting so long, and it's a brand new facility. 90 days is a beautiful timeline for the city of Hawaiian Gardens to wait on to have their hospital open up.
We're almost there.
You're almost there, and I want to thank you guys for doing this. And I understand they brought you guys in because you specialize in this area that we're going through right now, and from what I hear, the progress is moving right along. Yes.
Yep.
So for that case, I'd like to motion to move forward with this and grant their extension. Unless, Mr. Roa, you have more comments?
No, I just had a question real quick. So you have to work with either Spectrum or a third-party vendor to get your fiber optic cables installed at the current moment?
Right.
That's what you're waiting for?
They are. It is about done now. We're
Okay.
having the final. I think it's this week or next week. Next week we should have everything with them completed so that we can start the testing of the equipment and actually running equipment with the new systems that we've put in.
Okay. So you've already installed it. You just need to make sure the connectivity.
The connectivity is what we're actually at that point right now.
Okay. All right.
And we may have to replace a couple panels or some computers. We don't know until we actually get into that testing. But it's a lot further along now. We should be fine.
So I'll make the motion to adopt resolution number 063-2020.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Lucy, can I get a roll call vote?
Mr. Mayor, for clarification, I think it's resolution number 064-2020.
Okay, thank you. Yes, correct. Thank you very much.
Yeah, the correction has been made. Councilmember Trimble?
Yes.
Councilmember Maravilla?
Yes.
Councilmember Farfan?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Roa?
Yes.
Mayor Alvarado?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Lucy.
Thank you too very much. You're doing a great job.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Now we go to discussion regarding COVID-19 emergency assisting program. Do we have a staff report?
Yes, the staff report, it's vaguely Councilmember Victor Farfan and myself. We've been working on this item with our city manager to respond to the COVID-19 emergency here in our community. We're looking to use funding that may be available to create a rental assistance program. And I know Councilmember Farfan also discussed assisting businesses.
And if I may, Mayor and members of City Council, there's an additional item requested by Mayor Alvarado that will be discussed. So in the order of the PowerPoint is Councilmember Maravilla's item first, then Councilmember Farfan's item, and then the Mayor's item. And you've discussed, each of you individually have discussed some of these items with staff, so the city attorney, myself, or Mr. Colombo is here to answer any questions related to any of these programs. So I will defer to you, Councilmember Maravilla, first on this item.
Yes, so the Emergency Residential Assistance Program, we're looking to subsidize and keep people from being evicted due to COVID-19. As many know, Congress has not moved on the next law to really support our community members. And we're looking that the rent subsidy will hopefully prevent homelessness. And I know that our city manager can kind of review this with city council at this time and give us an overview of some of the discussion that we've had.
Yes, so actually back in April, the City Council approved use of some of the CDBG dollars related specifically to addressing the COVID-19 epidemic and the emergencies related to that. I think at this point, there were some general programs identified, and I think what we're doing today is specifically outlining some specific programs that you can direct staff to bring back as formal programs that the city can actually fund and create guidelines for. And so this specific item was for a rental assistance program that for sure we have low, moderate housing monies available for something like this, and potentially even the COVID-19 CDBG dollars. In addition, there's a variety of income sources that may be coming forward in the next couple months. Specifically, Mr. Colombo discussed with me today, the county is going to be doing something like this, and they certainly won't have the resources to expand that beyond or to all areas of the county without assistance from municipalities. So having a program like this in place now with the monies that we have now, and also expanding it if additional dollars become available, there's certainly a need in the community. The 2 months rental subsidy is just an example of what it could look like. There is a variety of cities that have done something similar. What we would do is, if the city council was interested in pursuing something like this, based on the discussion today and the direction, we would come back with guidelines.
And to remind the community, the CARES Act, it currently was set, I believe it already expired last on the 25th, if I'm not mistaken. And Congress has been is that correct? With the, I'm talking about the pandemic, $600 additional for unemployment.
Yes.
That ends Friday.
Yeah,
that portion did.
So that ended last week, and I know that a lot of community members, even with unemployment, are not making ends meet. And I feel that if we have funding sources available to assist vulnerable members of our community and families, even our senior citizens, then we need to do what we need to do to support them. And so I think this would be something great that would help a lot of people, and I know we can really stretch the dollar to help as many people as possible. So I would like to see and gain support from my colleagues to pursue a rental assistance program, to have staff kind of mock something up for us and bring back at the next possible meeting.
And so before the council discusses, I just want to go to the next slide, which shows the income requirements, that this is part of the requirement for any program that you develop in this area. Folks would have to meet these requirements to qualify. The staff will come back with specific guidelines related to this, but I wanted to make City Council aware that there is requirements beyond even what you will have to establish. But right now, it would be appropriate if the City Council wanted to consider anything beyond the rental assistance.
So $72,000 a year is low income in Hawaiian Gardens?
Mr. Mayor.
If you have 2 kids, $72,000 is a low income? Then I am in poverty. I mean, $72,000 a year is low income in Hawaiian Gardens?
Well, in the county of Los
Give them
Angeles.
food and now pay their rent, and they make $72,000 a year?
So these numbers are set by the Housing and Community Development Department. So it's set by the state, and they're based on the LA County median income. So it's a county-wide number, and so there's not a specific Hawaiian Gardens number.
But we're Hawaiian Gardens. Why get numbers from bigger cities?
But it's prescribed by state law. So state law sets the definition of extremely low, very low, low, and moderate incomes, and it's statutory. And then HCD takes the average median income, AMI, for each county and comes up with the numbers, and then it's adjusted that top line 1 through 8, that's household size. So the number is adjusted for household size. But there is a significant variation based on income level and household size.
2 could be a husband and a wife?
Correct.
So a husband and a wife making $72,000 a year needs help paying their rent.
That's how the moderate income category is defined.
Megan, I had a question. So, for example, if we have, is there a way to prioritize community members that are unemployed at this time, so that that could be a part of the requirement that they have loss of wages, or
So
have that kind of be one of the factors, because. Again,
it needs to be effectively.
It needs to be one of the factors.
They effectively have to be at risk of not. They have to not be able to pay their rent. They have to be at risk of eviction, because that's these. If we do this, and one of the things when council deliberates on this, we'll have to consider is what funding source you're going to use. But if you're using the low and moderate income housing assets, for example. Those monies are for homeless prevention, and so that is we need it to be specifically tied to preventing someone from losing their home.
So, if I may add to Councilmember Trimble's point, the threshold, right, is to qualify for the program of previous income, but to qualify for these dollars now, they would have to prove that they've lost that income. So they were making X number of dollars, now they're not making that because they lost their job or their business closed or something specific to COVID. So part of the qualification will be that they have to prove that they're impacted as a result of COVID specifically. These dollars are specifically for COVID. And so because of that, the requirements will have to include all that language.
And I should clarify, just on your point that because of there is that very significant income range that we talk about based both on income levels and household. So it can go from 23,000 to, a household of 8, and the moderate level could go to like 120,000. You could consider restricting your program just to low income. You don't have to do low and moderate incomes.
Right.
I think that would be that would be my recommendation. I definitely want to focus on extremely low and low income, because again, everyone has need today. I know that a lot of families are impacted, but I think who is most vulnerable right now at this moment are extremely low and low income households. So I would definitely want to prioritize that, and of course work with Megan and Ernie to really come up with a program that works specifically for our city, and hopefully the council agrees and supports moving forward with doing research on that.
Ernie, could you go back to the previous slide? So you would have to select on the left-hand side of that column which income category you'd want to assist and prioritize it that way.
So let me recommend this. We'll come back with some guidelines that basically sets either a larger subsidy for the lower income groups or a budgeted larger amount for each of the different categories. And so that way the city council can determine that satisfies what you're trying to accomplish by either having a bigger subsidy for extremely low versus moderate, or simply having a program that budgets a larger portion for the lower income group than the medium income group. The good news is that a lot of cities are starting to move this direction, so there's quite a bit of programs already that are established that will help us in kind of providing some guidance for the city council. But I think the ultimate goal for this request was to use these dollars that really we can't use for nothing else, and to help people out in the community.
And then I also have another question. I know that our schools are going to be online based, at least for the foreseeable future. My question is, as a city, because I know, like, for example, the city of LA, they do have a rental assistance program, and one of the circumstances which would qualify a family would be if they had loss of income or increased childcare costs because daycare or schools are closed. Now, I know that we haven't had this discussion yet, but I think we need to. Maybe not, I don't know if it qualifies for this specific item, but how are we going to support our working families in Hawaiian Gardens to alleviate those parents so that they can actually continue to work if work is available or if their job is open, so that their kids can still have some supervision? I mean, not every household has a stay-at-home parent, and I just want to make sure that I don't know if maybe part of the funding can be geared towards something like a child care type situation for school-age children who don't have any supervision at home. Because I'll tell you, just from some of the research I've done, it's extremely expensive to find childcare, like good childcare for your children. And I know still a lot of our community is impacted with not having access to internet. So I definitely want to kind of tie that in maybe doing maybe 75% of whatever funding source is available specifically for rental assistance, and then the rest trying to fund a program that targets those families, and then just kind of figuring out what that application process looks like. Because of course, if we are going to kind of be responsible and space out children in the gym or whatever that looks like, that's going to take a lot of manpower, and we just want to make sure we're not just accepting everyone in the community, but really children that don't have adequate child care, whose parents cannot afford child care.
Well, and to your point on, because I saw this in a lot of other communities, and some of the information Megan sent me when I logged onto their website or to try to get information on their program, the monies will run out. And so you're going to be limited about how many families you can help with these monies. And so I saw like one city said the first 100 applicants is all they're looking at. And if additional monies open up, then they'll accept other people. But I want to be clear that I don't expect the limited dollars that we do have, because we can only use up to $250,000, which is a lot of money, but it also isn't a lot of money. So, and then your other item or issue you brought up was related to childcare. I think you can certainly make the argument that I cannot go to work because I have to be at home with my children who now can't go to school. And so we'll look at the guidelines and see how we can qualify folks that way. There might not be a reason to separate the items, because, again, very easy argument to make that I can't go to work because I have X number of kids at home that need to be taken care of, and I can't leave, your children at a young age at home. I did, and I got in trouble, so I suggest you don't do that. 18's a bad year.
I had a question. Now, is this for renters or mortgage also? For homeowners?
That's a good question, and it's really, I think it's a policy question for you to decide whether you're talking. I think the argument is the same in terms of homeless prevention, which is that whether it's a foreclosure or an eviction, you're trying to prevent a family from being removed from their displaced. But in terms of what your goal is as a city council, that's a policy question for you guys to make.
Yeah, and if I need renter's assistance and I need child care also, I won't need renter's assistance, because that means I have a job, so I'm at work while you're watching my child, right? You can't get both, can you?
Well, I think to Mr. Hernandez's point is that again, it's important what pot of money we're talking about, where these dollars come from. If we're talking about the $250,000 of housing, low and income, moderate housing asset funds, that is specifically for homeless prevention. So that's specifically tied to rental assistance. And the way to build in the child care component is the position that your income has been reduced because of the higher need for child care. And so it all becomes the same issue. It's not a separate line
Ernie,
item.
I believe you said you're going to draw things up before we decide on that. Is that?
Right. So I think to assist you in making a decision, we'll basically come back with a comprehensive program that you could kind of tailor-make to, what it is you're trying to accomplish. But I think to your point, do you want us to include renters and homeowners, or just one or the other? Because obviously homeowners have the
Equity.
federal forbearance program that's out there, but it doesn't necessarily mean they still have to pay that money back. So it's really your discretion. As Megan said, it's a policy decision as to, do you want to, all it's really going to do is, like I said, you're going to run out of these money, so it's how many people get helped. And I would believe that a renter and someone that pays a mortgage is in the same dire situation, I would imagine, but that's your decision to make. And I guess you don't have to make it tonight, but do you want us to research both or just one or the other?
Yeah, I would say research both of them. I mean, because everyone has their unique situation that they could be placed in. I mean, there might be, let's just say a family who's either husband or wife, they lost their job because of COVID, and now, the other one has to pick up the slack in terms of cost, and maybe, even they might be impacted by the need for child assistance or something. So I wouldn't say limit it now. Let's just look at the options, and then we could weigh out the options once we get it. Maybe we set a cap and say, look, those that own homes, we're only going to help out, I don't know, let's just say 15, something in that manner. But I think this is critical for everyone because there's so many people that are affected by this. That, I mean, hopefully we can move forward with it, and we're fortunate to implement such a thing and help out our residents who truly have a need. So.
Yeah, and then to piggyback off the childcare conversation, I know LA County has been discussing using their parks and their facilities to have these sort of centers for children to kind of like a childcare center, really. Is that something that we should be looking into? Has ABC Unified School District discussed with staff about needs specific to childcare, or will they be providing lunch regardless of what's happening?
We don't know. I mean, Mr. Gomez can reach out and find out, and when we come back with this item, we can at least tell you what we know at that point. I don't know with regards to the city providing rec services. They're prohibited right now, right, with regards to the COVID restrictions. So this gets into that kind of dicey area where, it's childcare is basically the same thing as the city's rec programs, right? You're having activities for folks who get involved. So we'll have to look at that, but I think something for you that will be important is what is ABC Unified School District's position on any of this?
And then reaching out to LA County to see what do they mean when they say they're going to use their parks and their centers. That way we can either decide, yes, we're going to mirror that, or no, that doesn't work for our city. But either way, I know there are a lot of children in our community, and their parents need to work. If they have work, they need to work, and we need to, as a city, I think, support our families as much as we can.
Maybe we even consider some type of voucher program, because I know the YMCA was open for essential workers, but I imagine like any program, there's a cost associated with it. But maybe we look at that and say, look, those families that we could support, if we can't do it here internally, or if the school district doesn't have something, then maybe we look at other sources and we provide a voucher for this. So
we'll bring back everything we could find. I think I do remember, though, Steve, last year towards the end of the year, once kids were sent home, they were still providing lunch. They were doing that. Yeah.
I actually have a question. How would this program basically vary from Section 8? It seems like it's similar to Section 8.
Well, the one big difference would be that it'll be limited in the number of subsidized payments and the amounts, right? And then there's no wait list necessarily with regards to who can and can't qualify to be first come, first serve, versus obviously Section 8 has a pretty substantial wait list. Joe, anything else?
The main difference is that the participants on Section 8, they're on there for quite a bit. So this is going to be limited. Once whatever dollar amount you allocate, once you burn that up, then that's it. There's no more funding. So if I'm hearing the $250,000 from, which is the CRAF money is what it is, then once that's consumed, once that's exhausted, then there is no more. You do have the CARES Act funds, which is $117,000, but that too will dry up eventually. Unlike Section 8, that's ongoing. I would imagine, though, once you have a program like this and you advertise it, there will be, some type of wait list generated, and based on the program requirements, you have an eligibility list. But like the city manager indicated, we'll just have to, bring back program guidelines so that you guys can look at them and decide how you want to implement them.
Yeah. And because I think this is a now problem.
Right, and then this wouldn't be considered a gift of public funds?
Well, no, because that's what it's meant to do. This is essentially, this money is specific to COVID-19 to provide assistance. It's actually, I think, categorized as emergency assistance, which it wouldn't be a gift of public funds per se. The other issue is because it's such a need right now, we'll try to come back with some level of guidelines so we can establish part of the program, and if it'll be modified with additional monies or as the city council deems necessary. Because again, I don't want to wait 2 or 3 council meetings before we do something, because the money is limited anyway, and we should the people are in need now. There's still, I think LA County has not been as forthcoming as they've been in the past with regards to what timeline or what window they're looking at for the reopening of businesses and or jobs. We know that could be as late as September sometime, as far as what they've committed. They haven't committed a date, but what they committed in saying. And so this is going to be going on for the next, rest of the summer for sure.
I have one more question. Can this money be used to pay salaries as long as they're related to COVID expenses?
The COVID, there's 2 different pots of money we're talking about right now. We're talking about the CDBG CARES Act COVID dollars, and then we're talking about the low and mod housing asset dollars. The CARES Act dollars, in short, the answer is no to both. The CARES Act dollars are COVID specific, so those have to go to COVID specific purposes. And as the city manager indicated, those are for it's effectively emergency relief funds.
Right, but if we're referring to potentially creating child care centers, which is what it sounds like to me, and we cannot use CDBG funds or CARES Act, that means that we will need to go back and revise our budget again and see where we would be able to fund.
So
we have a $8 million deficit.
So these aren't for city. So for example, we've sort of bled into, I think, the next topic, which is for example, the business assistance program, which is Councilmember Farfan was going to discuss, I think. But so you could use CARES Act dollars to provide microloans to businesses, and those dollars could be used to pay, for example, low or moderate income earners on the payroll of that business, but they can't be used to pay employees of the city. They're not general fund dollars, and so they can't be used effectively for that purpose.
Right, which is, that's kind of like where I'm getting at. If we provide child care centers, we would not be able to use these funds. We would need to make an amendment to our general budget so that we can provide funding for those services.
Yeah, I know I haven't seen anything related to child care specifically, other than obviously because of child care I can't pay the rent. But as far as child care centers or child care, the city getting involved in that level, I haven't seen anything like that. But we'll look at that, and we'll look at what you brought up. But I do know no matter what we do, this is essentially CDBG dollars and would have to be an amended CDBG program. But these monies cannot be used, as Megan said, to offset the general fund or to provide, to pay for current city programs. These are above and beyond city programs specific to COVID-19.
Yeah, I don't think it's wise for the city to get a daycare center and be babysitters. I think there's plenty of nice places out there. This COVID money can pay people to take their kids abroad, the school of their choice.
Well,
so
and we'll bring back as anything we see out there and then I will tell you that it's difficult to kind of pinpoint anything that you're suggesting as far as we can and can't do it, because it's such a broad, what we got the information from the county is it's a very broad kind of spectrum, and basically it's ask us and we'll let you know if it works, right? So we'll come back with what some other agencies are doing, and then you could obviously make recommendations of what we can and can't do. We'll bring Mr. What's Michael's?
Michael Neal.
Mike O'Neill, who basically updates and modifies the CDBG plan and budget that will have to be modified depending on what the city council position is going to be.
I know that we can't really meet in large groups now, but as far as assistant prevention, maybe we can try to reach out, use some of this money to pay for a consultant that can educate some of the people that are potentially losing their homes. And what are some of the options that they have as far as reaching out to the banks and remodifying their loans, or maybe some people don't know what they can do to actually save their households. So maybe using some of the money to put an online class or something that can educate our residents on what some of their options can be. And the reason why I'm asking this is I think eventually it's going to be up to individuals or up to the households to start readjusting and looking into saving their homes and their mortgages and adjusting to this new norm, because as of right now we don't really know how long it's going to take. Yesterday I read Google and a couple of the major players as far as big time organizations, they're sending their employees to work from home until July of next year. So I hate to be pessimistic, but the reality is that we don't know how soon this is going to end. And so the best thing that we could do is educate ourselves as well as trying to be worst case scenario. What are some of the options that we have?
Okay. I think we have enough direction to kind of move forward. And I'll segue to the next item, which is related. Councilmember Farfan discussed essentially the same concept of assisting folks with restricted dollars, but in this case, businesses. And here are some examples of what some other agencies are doing. The main, kind of the most common is the rental lease assistance, similar to rent assistance for residents, but obviously folks, I'll give you an example. So Salon, right, is at one of our shopping centers. They still are required to pay the rent for that business site, but are not allowed to open, are not bringing in income, so they're having some difficulty. And so the most common business assistance program that Megan identified was the rental or lease assistance, which would work something similar like the residential program, except for I think there is still income limits, which vary. They're a little different, but there is some income limits. The other areas where some other programs are going forward with are utility assistance and microloans or loans for very small businesses. So 5 or fewer are considered micro enterprises. And so there is, Hawaiian Gardens does have quite a bit of very small business owners who only have a handful of employees that some of the big other loan programs that exist right now at the federal level for sure are more difficult for them to get, where these would be fairly easy for them to get. And so I'll defer to Councilmember Farfan.
So, I feel this is extremely critical. I mean, I deal with businesses on a day-to-day basis, and often what I hear is that a lot of them had difficulties getting the PPP loan, either because they didn't have the relationship with the bank, or they didn't really have the background, the information in a timely manner in order to get the loans. And so across the board, we're seeing a lot of small businesses that are truly being impacted by this pandemic, and they're barely being able to make it even by. And so as you can see, just driving through the community, you can see restaurants are empty. Retail, is down. I think we were even provided some information on Friday in regards to how bad the retail sales have been in the city of Hawaiian Gardens. And so I think we as a community need to do everything we can to, protect, the small businesses that we have and make sure that they continue to thrive, or at least provide them some assistance so they can stay afloat during this, these times. So
I actually think being able to support our businesses is really important right now. And I had one of a resident approach me and mention the possibility of the city maybe providing canopies to support the local businesses. And it doesn't seem like much, but even canopies would be. They can provide two things. One, they can actually provide some of the businesses or restaurants the opportunity to have people dine outside. And also for those that don't have drive-through, it could serve as a base for the residents to actually make a drive-through. They can put their orders, take the food outside, and the people can just kind of drive through rather than having to get off their cars, go inside and pick it up. So it's like a simple thing that maybe we can do to provide assistance to some of our businesses so that they can operate at a faster speed, or maybe be more accommodating to the residents. And so hopefully we slowly start to encourage people to go out there and consume and help our residents out.
So Mr. Hernandez, buying canopies, does that come out of the COVID-19 fund?
Well, that's what I was going to tell you. I think it would be two things. I think it's a good idea, right? And it's something fairly simple and fairly easy we could do to help folks right away. And it's also a good way to show a partnership between the city and the businesses. We don't necessarily have like a downtown in a city, but other cities are starting to shut down surface streets to allow businesses to put chairs and tables and canopies out in the middle of the street. So this is one way we can help right away. And I think it would be difficult to use some of these resources that are basically meant for loans and that kind of thing. However, you do have budgeted right now in the budget you approved economic development monies that we could do this in the next agenda. We can have a plan forward and contact the businesses, see who's interested, and we can do something in this area right away.
And I think this would be a good tie-in, I mean, if you have that program and then you talk to them, look, this is what we're looking into, doing some type of, either microloan program. I mean, it'd be a great opportunity to have that contact and the conversation. So
I agree. And I think, of course, with the canopies, we can also maybe even look into having the plastic foldable tables to go with them. So for every canopy, you get 2 rectangular tables and 10 chairs, for example, whatever that looks like, right? So I love that idea. Thank you for bringing that up, Councilmember Roa, or Mayor Pro Tem Roa. And, if we're going to get them customized, it can say something related to businesses in City of Hawaiian Gardens. But that's a great out-of-the-box idea, and I really like it.
Yeah, so I was actually approached by one of the residents who had this idea, and I think it came about from the fact that some of our hair salons and barbers and all that, they were able to reopen, but now they have to actually provide the service outside. And so I don't think it just applies to restaurants. I think that as long as there's that it's not indoors, then maybe we can help some of the local businesses.
Pioneer and Centralia today, I saw that. I saw a nail place where they do your feet and stuff outside. So they had the buckets of water and everything outside. So I made an appointment for tomorrow. I'll let you know how it goes.
So, Mr. Hernandez, to my question, would all this be covered? Tables, chairs, canopies to, I don't know how many canopies per business, but is it covered by COVID-19 funds? Or is it going to come out of our general fund?
The simple answer is I don't know. I don't know. These type of programs first have to be identified, then they have to be approved as an expenditure on their end, because these aren't our dollars. But we have budgeted dollars to do economic incentives or business incentives. So we'll come back at the next meeting with something, and we'll be able to answer that question.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, and so, Councilmember Farfan, with regards to this program, is there a preference for the microloans or utility assistance, or just?
You know what? I think every business is going to have their own need. So I think we should kind of leave it open, because in other communities, I know they had the microloans. Some microloans are as small as $5,000 or even $1,000. It just depends on, the money available. I know obviously when it comes to rent and lease, that's a fixed cost. No matter what, as you mentioned earlier, they have to deal with it. In addition to that, I mean, a lot of these, they have to deal with payroll as well. So it's kind of, depending upon the need, what is the greatest need that they have, and we kind of have to factor it in from there.
Okay, we'll come back with some guidelines that you can work off. The final item with regards to input that we received in this area is from Mayor Alvarado, and it's something that's actually he's already working with several council members and the community and a lot of volunteers to do, which is the food distribution or food giveaways. So, a lot of times we, staff and the mayor has been able to get a lot of these supplies donated, but sometimes there is reciprocal costs, and this is something that could qualify for COVID-19 related expenditures. And so I wanted to get City Council's input on the mayor's recommendation to dedicate actually some dollars to try to do these more often and at a bigger scale. And so I'll defer to the Mayor Alvarado.
Yes, as we know, and we all know, we continue talking about it, that there's a lot of need out there. People getting laid off and losing their jobs. And we constantly, come across people in need. So I think allocating some of these funds will allow us to continue providing, providing food for the residents that are definitely in need. I think we don't know how long this, pandemic, COVID-19 will exist and continue, or going back to normal. But I think one of the things at least we can do is continue providing some of the needs to people by providing food. I think there's a lot of need, and I think we should continue. So, I think it would be a great idea to allocate some of these funds to be able to help those that are in need. Any comments from council?
Well, you want to go first, Victor? Okay. I feel if we're going to use COVID-19 money effectively in the city, I like the first two suggestions better than this one, because this one I heard comments contrary to what I'm seeing. So I'd like to go with the two that sound as if it could be productive in the city of Hawaiian Gardens.
Well, let me say something. I know you heard two comments, but those comments are not accurate. So, before you start buying two comments that are not accurate, I think we need to verify. Let's talk a little bit about those public comments, what they're saying. See, those fruit boxes you see right there, they're not buying from the city. The city is not spending any penny on those fruit boxes. Those fruit boxes are given to us from a nonprofit. And, they call us last minute. Hey, we got 2 pallets, 3 pallets, 4 pallets. Come and get them. You have to get them or lose them. So what we do last minute, we get city employees, get on the truck and go get them. But those fruit boxes, it's fruit, apples and oranges, they need to be refrigerated right away or given to people right away. So what we do right away, as a matter of fact, about 2 to 3 weeks ago, we got around 1,000 boxes that we had to distribute in one day. So the city truck, along with city employees, even myself, we all got the truck full of boxes, and myself, in a different vehicles, we all went, and I had to even go door knock to apartments, to people. Hey, you want a box of fruit? Here it is for free. So we had to, give away about 1,000 fruit boxes in one day. So all I do is help our community. I know there's people out there that try to, this is the unfortunate thing. Rather than people being grateful about what we're doing, they try to switch it around, make it a bad. That's why it's hard to help our residents, because there's always people out there that anything good, they want to turn it into bad. I spend a lot of hours, a lot of my time grabbing these boxes and delivering to people, door knocking, giving them to them to help them out. And, in return, I get criticism. Think about that. That's really unfortunate. It's unfair that, I spend a lot of my time, my gas, my time, my effort, going out of my way, leaving my family behind. I could be playing games with my son, 8 years old. I could be at the parks, rather than spending 4 hours looking who to give fruit to. Sometimes they call me, hey, Jesse, I got fruit right here. I got food. I take a drive about 30 minutes, go in my own vehicle, go pick it up so I can bring it, and give it to my residents. Nobody's giving gas money or paying me for anything. I do it for free, out of the kindness of my heart, and in return, this is what we get, criticized. And people, unfortunately, people buy into that.
Well, we also get a car allowance.
I'm not done. So, but this is the problem. The problem is, do we continue helping our community, or do we stop? What do we do? Because we do something, we don't do anything, that we get criticized. We do something, they always find something wrong with, oh, this is wrong, that's wrong, rather than be grateful, like, they're helping out. There's someone out there that needs food, they're making comments, okay, obviously you know me, well, come and ask me, hey, Jesse, I need food. I go to your house and knock on your door and bring you some food if that's what you need. But I'm not taking, I'm taking time out of my business schedule to go out of my way to bring food and fruit to people, and I just get criticized. That's unfortunate because my goal is to help our community, and that's all I do, and this is what we get in return. And there's no, I know whatever people say, what they say, I know that I'm doing the right things. I go to sleep at night in a peaceful way. People can say whatever they want to say, but I know I'm doing the right thing. Okay, so by allocating some of these funds, we'll just continue helping our community. I know the two projects that my colleagues are recommending, I think they're great. It's a way to help our residents. This other way, just when people are making bad comments, and that doesn't mean it's valid, it's accurate, it's a lie. It's not what they're saying it is. And we're just trying to help our community. But my colleagues, it's up to them. Do we continue helping with food or we stop? I don't have a problem stopping if that's what they want. It saves me some time. But, I'm open for anything. To continue the food drives, helping our community, or stop. It'll just give me more time for my family. But, I definitely like to see what my colleagues have to say. I know Hank had to say something.
Well, I just wanted to say, I seen the banner that was behind you. There was Food Finders and the new hospital and Rendon. There's a lot of year-round givers of food on that. So I think we have a steady supply of food coming in. I feel whatever they have to offer, as many cases, you say 1,000 sometimes, that's sufficient. We can't be out there till nighttime giving 2,000 away. I think we should use these funds for households, rent, mortgage, child care. That's hitting home right there.
But look, the Food Finders, actually, this is a great organization that lately we've been reaching out and they're giving us food, but not a lot. Not like to be able to serve, in this case, we serve 1,022 people. So they gave us some, but not enough to serve all these people. The other organizations is people that we're reaching out and they're willing to help, and that's how we're able to do what we do. But it doesn't just fall in our lap. We have to reach out and make phone calls. We have Lucy's doing a lot of phone calls, and many other people have reached out to get all these for us to be able to do this. But it's not like constantly just giving this. No, it's some of them do, but not everybody. Like this organization, they give us the fruit boxes. They already gave us probably 5,000 boxes, and all we do is give it away. And this organization just started maybe 2-3 months ago. So it's not like it's all year round. So that's what we need to continue. We're blessed that we're able to do this, and we have organizations. But I'm also concerned that we talk to some businesses to help us out, but everybody's asking for something. Everybody's there's a lot of needs. So I know that this organization eventually will run out. So my whole objective is continue helping our residents, continue whatever we can do. And some of these funds will assure that we have a little money to continue helping our residents, because everybody's asking for something. Those companies that go broke because all they do is give. So it's a challenge.
Mr. Gomez, I have a quick question. So I know that when residents call our front desk and they have food insecurity issues, where do we get are we able to supply enough? Do you find that we're getting more calls than we can accommodate, or?
Well, during COVID, we've definitely received more phone calls for assistance. In addition to for example, last Saturday we had the scheduled food drive.
Last Saturday I was actually surprised that we ran out. There was so much food, and we ran out in an hour and a half. Well, right. Lucy was there. I know Ernie was there, and most of my colleagues were there. I was actually surprised, but go ahead.
Right. So the giveaway of that scale, there was one in June. Obviously, the July one was last weekend, and the August one is scheduled for the 22nd. So for those three, the mayor and staff have worked to get donations of supplies as well as monetary donations, which we've received. So those funds are used to purchase items to then distribute to the community. In addition to those three main events, as the mayor mentioned, we do get day of phone calls that there's some perishable donations available. So staff has retrieved those and then distributed them the day of. In doing so, the calls for assistance have declined somewhat. and we relate it to these examples of what the city's doing. But in the occasions where we also get additional calls, our senior center staff is also assisting. We've been able to refer some residents to the FEDI Resource Center as well. So we're looking at different avenues to provide assistance to the residents.
So Mayor Alvarado, the additional funding, were you looking at doing it maybe twice a month, or were you looking at something specific, like having, I don't know, 2 locations, like maybe here at the C. Robert Lee and then at Leeware Park, or at Leeware Rec Center? Like, how did you envision the additional monies? How would you like that to be used?
If I may add, because when we discussed this issue with the mayor, I did tell him, so all of these programs in some form or fashion may be pecking at the same amount of dollars or different little pots, right? And so just like I think we're going to come back with some options for the other 2 programs. Fortunately, the people that do this, a lot of them do it, to help folks. And so the cost to actually, the incremental cost or incidental cost related to getting some additional foods to give away is much smaller than the other programs. And so I think what we'll do is we'll come back, and if the council supports looking at this as an option, we'll have options and dollar amounts for all of these because, again, it's a bunch of different little pots, but some of them, it's the same pool of dollars. So let us kind of come back with a dollar amount and really look at what that looks like. I think from the mayor's perspective, I know up to this point, it's an opportunity issue. In other words, literally someone calls him and says, I got 10 pallets of X, Y, and Z, and staff moves on it to go get it, right? So, and sometimes there's 1 week where there's nothing. And so I think for the purposes of
because I will just share, I do think food insecurity is a real issue, and there may be a lot of residents that may not know of our food distributions because maybe they don't have a cell phone with social media or whatever that may be. So I like the idea of having like a community pantry type of situation. I know that Long Beach recently did one. There's a nonprofit and they have a community pantry, and they constantly request donations, and you just go and put it in an area, and then people can come and grab things as they need. And so what happens is there's just a person there monitoring. They wash their hands, sanitize, grab what they need, they leave, and then some people that want to donate can come and donate. And I really like that concept. But if it's difficult for us to get donations and monitor donations, then that could be something that if we do fund something like this, it could be for that purpose. And I like the idea of doing it at our centers. For example, having a community pantry open set dates, like for example, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Monday, Wednesday in the morning, Friday at night, something like that at Leeware Rec, having a community pantry at Clarkdale Park, something like that. So I kind of like that idea because I thought that was, not everyone may feel comfortable lining up to go to a drive-through event. Some people may not need food that week, but the following week they do need something, and we don't have a drive-through, or they show up and we ran out. So I like the idea of just they show up and they grab what they need, and then they leave the rest for other people that may need something different.
Ernie, I thought we had already approved food vouchers for some of our residents. Was that a one-time deal, or was there a specific amount?
So we did some of what qualified. So we can't. Some of those dollars don't allow that with regards to just flat out giving people food vouchers versus donating food products is allowed. And so what you approved as items is the senior lunch program, or something related to the feeding of the seniors, and I can't remember the other 2, but the food voucher specifically, we did do some of that as far as what qualified, but you can't, from a moving forward basis, you could do the food distributions, but you can't necessarily give people food vouchers.
But Ernie, isn't it just like a food bank? I mean, we already have a food bank. We're going to feed people in every corner.
I thought the food bank was only.
It's essential. It's open. It's been open. There's lines there.
Do they? I just have a question for the food bank. Do they have restrictions like once a month, twice a month, maximum?
Once a week.
Once a week.
Yes, I think I know a little
Once
bit
a
about
week.
that. It's once a week, and there's no
Vegetables, canned
qualification
food.
program. Anybody can go in and they get a box. So I know that there is a little bit of help in it within our city. I know that we got the food bank, right? They don't require applications or anything. I know that we help our seniors with a box of food, I think, once a month. They get the senior meals, and they have another resident that's committed to our city that every Thursday he goes to LA and to her church, give away food, and then she brings food to our city, and she has a line of people, normally to about 40 to 80 people that she gives food to, and it's plenty of food. So I believe that is, now with the food giveaway, I think we have, we got some help. People are getting help from different areas, a little bit here, a little bit there. I know at one point in time she said, I had like 80 residents coming in. Now we're down to like 40. And that shows that, the people that don't show us because they don't have obviously that need or that week. But I think it's important that we continue doing this because the need is out there. And so we just have to continue planning because we don't know how long this is going to last, and we don't know people's situations, how long the need is going to be there. I mean, we can save them for spending $200 a month in groceries. I think they can use that for the rent, the gas, who knows? But I know that, again, I'm not sure how, like Mara, you say about the pantry, I'm not sure how we envision that, whether our city employees are going to take a bunch of stuff in the truck and how people are going to get it, but either way works. I mean, the thing is helping our community and whatever works, and that's the ultimate goal, is help our residents. Because, when we had food giveaways, and we're learning from this. And sometimes we have food left when we promoted the whole city. But then whatever's left that's perishable, you know what? I take it and go and give it to residents that I know that they need it, and I get rid of it. Because we can't let it sit there. As a matter of fact, we had different products that they expired because we just holding on to them. They didn't make it to the food giveaway. We had several things that expired because some of the stuff that gets donated sometimes they don't have a lot of a long expiration date. So we save it, and before we know it already expired. So what do? Throw it away. So now I pay attention, like, okay, when this thing is going to expire? Okay, you know what? It's going to expire in 2 weeks. You know what? Let me get it. Let's give it away. That way people use it, and then we don't have to throw it away because we don't want to give expired food to people because then what happens? We'll get criticized for doing that. So it seems like sometimes you just can't win. But, the ultimate goal is continue helping the residents, and my mission is to continue helping, regardless of people's opinions. As long as we're doing the right things, that's what I'm committed to.
So, Ernie, can we explore the possibility of, so, for example, this weekend, I think you served 100, 200 residents?
Lucy took a head count, and it was 1,022 people that would help. So, but that's because each driver, we ask them how many people in your household, but it was, I don't know, maybe roughly around 200, maybe 250. 250. People that came to get. Yeah,
right. So,
Mayor, we actually served 246 families and 1,022 household members.
Yes. So, right. So, I mean, the number doesn't have to be exact. It doesn't matter. But I would suggest, Ernie, since nothing is going to get approved at this point, and maybe we could just look into coming back with some numbers so that when these drives do happen, maybe we can allocate some funds so that we could review the things that are delivered to us and maybe supplement it. So if we get a lot of fruit, if we get a lot of bread, then maybe we can supplement it with like rice, beans, and not necessarily, create a whole nother menu, but just supplement what we do have, because whatever it's donated is random, basically, right? From what I understand, it's random.
Yes, and that's actually what we did last food giveaway. We were able to buy other things that were not, to really make it more appealing, or you just give out more. We bought beans, rice to really complement, and also with the last minute donations, we just were able to make it worth for the residents, because they got vegetables, they got fruit, and other packages like rice, beans. So I think they did really well. I think that helped us out a lot. But yeah, it's looking at what is needed, what's missing, or what else we can add to complement that, and making it last. And I always have a concern of giving a lot of perishables to people, because I don't like to waste food, and I want to make sure people don't take so much that later on this is sitting there and it goes bad, because it's free. Sometimes free, you don't appreciate it because it's free. Sometimes some people do, some people don't. Some people just like, well, I didn't pay for it. It's not the same as when hey, I spent $200 on groceries, I better take care of my food. But that's what. But yeah, that's a good point. We can definitely consider that. I think it'd be a great idea.
Okay, I think we have enough information to bring back something that's within the guidelines that the City Council provided. I think with that, there's no action to be taken. I think this is something the council wanted to discuss, and we got enough direction to bring the items back.
Okay, we go to committee reports. Any committee reports?
Well, I don't have technically a committee report, but I am a part of the law enforcement committee, and I just wanted to touch base over I want to go ahead and hold a meeting, and I know that Councilmember Victor Farfan is also a part of that committee. So I look forward to having discussions with the committee just to discuss public safety concerns over the patrolling schedule that we currently have, and to assess where we are currently with the services being offered.
Is there any new business?
Well, I'd like to bring back for discussion one issue on our budget. I would like to discuss the amount cut between the difference between youth sports and adult sports. I'd like to revisit that at our next meeting.
Okay. Do we have oral staff reports?
Yes, sir. As mentioned earlier this evening, Leeward Pool is now open to the public. The residents can make reservations by calling the pool or via the link from the city's website to our ActiveNet registration program. In addition, staff is working to open the splash pad at Clarkdale Park. Our goal is to open later this week. We're just finalizing some of the safety measures due to the COVID-19 matter. But the splash pad will be open 7 days a week, Monday through Sunday, from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. And we will follow the same procedures as the pool, where the community can register by household and go visit the splash pad in 30-minute increments. And then for a brief period, staff will sanitize and clean the area and welcome the next household. So we're hoping to get that going later on this week. Once we are open, we will make the information available to the public. Thank you.
And just for the council's benefit, the splash pad actually works a lot like a pool in that it cycles the water, it has chemicals to cleanse it, and so that part of it works almost exactly like a pool, and actually it's a little more efficient because there's much less water cycling through the system.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, just want to report that the LED streetlight replacement program is complete. We've replaced over 700 high-pressure sodium lights to LED. There was no cost to the city. This was done by Edison. Basically, the cost of the bulbs and the installation was offset by the anticipated energy savings from the LED, and so that's a complete project. So there won't be a notice of completion like you typically would see in a capital improvement program. So I'm basically reporting that that project is complete.
And Mr. Colombo, great job. I've gotten so many compliments from residents and business owners about how different our city looks just with the LEDs. So I'm really impressed with how great they look. And they're not too bright in the residential neighborhoods. It really looks great. So I compliment Edison for helping us with that installation and staff for working on it. It was a really great program. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. It makes a world of a difference. I mean, just walking down the street, you feel a lot safer. And it's a very clean, very soft light. Overall, I think it just gives that illusion of like a modernization, like in our community. So it does wonders. So thank you. Sure.
Mayor, I have a comment as well. First, I was remiss in my public comments earlier. The last comment that I made was I said it was in reference to Lorraine, but I failed to mention her last name. So her name was actually Lorraine Cabrera, and my apologies to her. She, I failed to mention her last name, so I wanted to make sure that for the record we included that. And then also I have some election information. So currently, registered voters in our city and throughout Los Angeles County, the county has mailed out these notices that say attention voters. So some of you may have already received it. Other households will be receiving it in the next few days. The county mailed out 5 million notices. Please review it. If the information is correct, you don't need to do anything because then there's more to come for the election in November. If there are changes in the household for the voters, that maybe their address has changed, their name has changed, the person, the address that receives that notification maybe is deceased or it no longer lives there, please include that information, update it, and send it back. You don't have to put a stamp on it. That's already covered. But it's very important because LA County is trying to make their records as accurate as possible, since this election will be unlike any other where the entire state of California is being sent their vote by mail for the November election. So it's really important that once you receive that, take a look at it. If it's yours and it's correct, you don't need to do anything. If it's not yours or the information is inaccurate or you don't live at that location anymore, please make the corrections and send it back as soon as possible so that they can make their records as accurate as possible when the notices do go out. Again, the November election will be an all mail-out election, so all of the ballots will be mailed out to every single registered voter. Please register if you haven't done that. Go to lavote.net and register if you're a qualified voter. And also, just be mindful of keeping note of the elections. The city is still currently open with nominations. There was some confusion about dates. The nominations close on August 7th at 5 o'clock. So it's not this Friday, it's coming up. Thank you.
Now we go to Oro Council reports. Okay, I just want to say that July 25th, we already talked about that, but we had the July 25th last Saturday. We had the food giveaway. It was actually a success. We were able to help a lot of families. And I want to thank all the sponsors, staff, and volunteers, also my colleagues to be present and support the cause. And I also want to thank Lucy Colombo for being there with their team of volunteers. Thank you, Lucy.
I did have one quick comment I just remembered. The census, NALEO, National Association of Latino Elected Officials, has a very large campaign to encourage everyone to sign up for the census. I know that our city has been lagging behind neighboring cities, so we really want to encourage everyone to go to my2020census.gov and fill out your census. It's 100% secure. And with that, our city, along with 13 other cities, which includes City of Artesia, Bell Gardens, Cudahy, City of Downey, Linwood, Montebello, Bell, Bellflower Commerce, Maywood, Paramount, Carson, Southgate, and Pico Rivera. All those cities will be participating in the census parade. So I want to thank in advance the staff members that will represent our city. Every city will have one vehicle decked out with their city's name. So Bell Gardens will have Bell Gardens all over their car. Our vehicle, which will have some staff members in it, will have all City of Hawaiian Gardens, and they're going to caravan from the city of Montebello through all cities participating all the way and ending here in the city of Hawaiian Gardens, since we're really the last point in the area. So I'm really excited, and I just hope that everyone kind of takes a peek outside. It's estimated that the caravan should be passing through our city around 3:30. So just keep a lookout around that time, and hopefully everyone is encouraged to fill out the census.
Thank you. So now we don't have a closed session. So there being no further business, I hereby adjourn this meeting at 7:49 p.m. until our next regular meeting to be held on Tuesday, August 11, 2020 at 6 p.m.